So, uh, from the big book, but I figured little special treat. Ramina found this somewhere on a bookshelf, and this is one of the old little tiny books.
Nice.
And I thought it'd be nice to read from one of these little books that, prior to a few years ago, this is how all the books were, these tiny little books. And now they're all in one big book. So, The Religion of Love, The Teachings of Mother Natasha. And it starts off with a definition of the English word religion. Religion. The word religion, as used in the teachings of Mother Natasha, is to be understood in its original meaning. Re, again, ligio, to link. Religion, the process and practices by which one can come again to God. So re and ligio, these are the Latin root words of the English religion. And because the word religion is quite a trigger-inducing word, it would be wise to give it a definition for clear understanding for readers when they hear this word often, because people get confused and they hear religion of love. And when they see us, we're just simple little devotees sharing pure, uncorrupt, simple truths from around the world, from every single scripture. Oh, I should probably hold on. Well, I guess when I'm talking, I should turn the camera around if Discord will allow me to. Have to close the app and then reopen it. There you go. Hey. So
There you go.
what was I saying? Oh, yeah, religion. So the word religion, it comes with a lot of heat for a lot of people. They have experienced a lot of suffering, a lot of sectarianism, a lot of ignorance from people who've done things in the name of religion. And for most, religion is considered an organization or a group or a side you choose, right? So this concept of religion comes with a lot of baggage. So Mother Natasha breaks it down. Well, what does the word actually mean? Re, again, ligio, to link. It's the process and the practices by which we come again to God. Oh, how do I change the camera again? If this would just seamlessly go, it'd be so smooth, right? So, how do I full screen so that I can even read it? Oh, sorry, guys, my phone is so wonky. There it goes. Now
Oh,
I can see what
for
I'm doing. Sorry, guys. So, religion. It's not a group. It's not an organization. It's not something you can buy. it's a process in your heart. It's got nothing to do with anything outside of you. It's entirely an internal process. Matters not what's on your head, what clothes you wear, what language you speak, which book you're reading from, which prophet you're revering and praying to. Doesn't matter, because if internally you aren't surrendered in loving service to the Lord and love, and you experience not love within yourself, then what's it all for? And when people act in ignorance, they hurt one another, and they pretty much spoil all the good things we enjoy, right? Including God's message. People ruin it for each other, right? Bad apples. So a lot of people have been burnt out burnt out by religion, and that's because, well, it's been done in the name of religion. But just so we're all clear, religion ain't a person, place, or thing. It's a process in your heart. It's about relinking again with God. So religion of love essentially just means the relinking process of your heart to love of God. Basically that. Prem Dharma, the religion of love of God. So, and that process of returning to love can be done in many different languages. In fact, any language in the world can get you to love God. Behind the prayer. So anyway, let's get to reading this book. And it happened thus, that in the year 2001, there gathered together a group who, seeking after knowledge, came asking that I might answer on the religion of love, the teachings of Mother Natasha, the angel of Bengal. One-handed flip. And I, Raja Khan, a disciple and a devotee of God, did meet with them. Speak to us, they said, of what she taught, and many their questions, for much would they know, and all did I answer with her words alone. Okay, Raja Khan. He's a disciple of Mother Natasha, and the setting is that he's met a group of people who've come together specifically with the intention to learn and hear spiritual knowledge. And they're curious at what this one, whom people call the Angel of Bengal, what she has to say, because they've heard a lot of murmuring going around in the region about, this Mother Natasha. And all of this actually happened. This is all like actual recanting the past, So Rajak, even though we're hearing it from his voice, the narration of these teachings, Rajak, like every devotee in every scripture, represents every one of us and the path we walk, because we walk it by learning and living through the shoes of other devotees who struggled in walking the path themselves. So by hearing their stories and hearing how they attempted to live out the teachings of God and from the spiritual master, we realize that we're not reading the story of Rajat Khan. We're not reading the story of Peter, or we're not reading the poems of Maulana, disciple of Shamsa Tabriz. We're reading our own story. We're reading our own heart, and we can draw great inspiration from hearing how the great devotees lived out the teachings in the scriptures. So, and all did I answer with her words alone. Because, see, that's the greatness of a devotee, is that the devotee of God doesn't add his own spin to anything. The devotee of God doesn't interpret the scriptures in a way that perverts the actual conclusion of the scriptures. He doesn't make compromises to make things more convenient for himself. The devotee of God, in all humility, accepts everything from God through his scriptures and the instructions of the spiritual master, God's representative, to be absolute, and accepts them within his heart as his very life, soul, and blood. So the disciple, the true disciple of a master, is just the best student who can just follow and do exactly as his master does. And that's what Rajak is doing here. He's answering them with only her words. Just like when Jesus sent out his disciples to preach, sent them in twos. When they went out, they were just preaching the classes, the knowledge that they had heard from their master, from Jesus. They weren't making their new things up. He didn't say, all right, I want you guys now to come up with your own philosophy and go out there and see how it goes. No. He says, freely have you been given, now freely must you give. And that is what the devotees do. They hear from the spiritual master pure knowledge. They practice it, apply it in their life. And when they come to realize that knowledge through actual wisdom, because that's actually what wisdom is. Wisdom is knowledge put into practice and then realized. Knowledge is, I bet I can make it to that mountaintop. But real wisdom is when you've already been to the mountaintop and said, yes, I know I can do it. I've been there. I've experienced it myself. And that's what it is. It's the experiential knowledge. That becomes wisdom. And you get that wisdom by experiencing exactly the teachings from the scriptures and following them exactly in the mood they were meant to be received in by following the example of the pure devotees of the Lord. Oh, were you raising your hand, me? I think I noticed something. Were you trying to ask a question? Oh, your mic's muted. See if I can flip it around.
Oh,
Put a mic
sorry.
out your
Yeah,
head.
I didn't want to make any noise to interrupt you, but I was just wondering what year has this taken place in. Set the scene. What's the year around when? Like
2001.
2001. Okay.
Yeah, in fact, I think it says it in the book. Oh yeah, yeah, there it is. Hold me flip around, and it says in the year 2001. Is that backwards?
Yeah.
It's 2001. Yeah, I
That's-
guess that's when it took place. All right, let me go back. How do I flip this around again? Oh, and it's missing a word here, but it says, know that what is here written can be but incomplete. It is the fragrance, but not the flower." See, that's the thing about scripture, is that you can get the knowledge, but you're not really going to get it unless, first off, your heart is open to even hear that knowledge. And second, if you actually applied and practiced that knowledge and actually experienced it yourself within yourself by doing it, you know. So you can't know God. You can only love God. And that love, that's an experience that you only get from within. And the only way to experience that from within is to clear away all the things that are blocking you from experience. And that is what the process and practices of religion do. They're all a cleansing and a clearing of the dirt of ignorance. So all you got to do is grind away at them. And eventually, your real spiritual consciousness becomes manifest and just peeks through all the darkness, like you finally cleaned off this dusty, dirty light bulb, and now it's shining and now it's filling the whole room with brightness. But before, you could barely see anything through that crust, and we're really crusty. All
yeah.
right. And late into the night they stayed, and for many more nights and days did they stay, and all were welcome, as all seekers after truth are always welcome. But it was not long before the people there gathered began to gossip among themselves, arguing over what they had heard of her. "I have been told," one man said, "that she preaches a new religion, and that people call it the religion of love." And hearing this, many were astonished and began to murmur among themselves. "Oh." Now there was one among them, a man much respect. Oh, that got blurry. And there was one among them, a man much respected, wise, and learned in spiritual matters. And standing up, he came forward. Seeing him, the crowd became quiet, that he might speak. "Brother," said he, to the man who had just spoken, but addressing all. There we go. Trying to get a focus for you guys. "There has never been a new religion." Word. "There has never been a new religion. Those with knowledge know the spiritual to be timeless and eternal. I have heard her and count myself as one among her followers. And it is of this, the original, pure, the uncorrupt truth of God, of which she speaks. It is true religion, not new religion. There has never been a new religion. Those with knowledge know the spiritual to be timeless and eternal." Timeless. See, time is a material, law. It's linear, in this world of dualities, hot and cold, suffering and enjoyment, birth and death. But this message, these teachings, spiritual knowledge coming from God, well, that's coming from the spiritual world, and everything spirit is eternal. And everything eternal, by definition, is good for all time. It's timeless. That's why the scriptures are so old, yet still they're so relevant and alive in our hearts when we read them, because they are alive, they're eternal, and they are living. And they live within us. For all spiritual knowledge is inherent within every spirit soul. It's only covered. The knowledge in scriptures, the knowledge from spiritual masters, acharyas, saints, they can only remind us of the knowledge we have forgotten. They do not put it into us. We do not get it from them. We do not read and learn it. It's already there, but it's been covered over. And in hearing it again from the scriptures, it's like remembering your long lost memories, such as the awakening of spiritual knowledge within the heart. And this message has never changed. It's always been meant to bring us back home to love of God, bring us back to the spiritual world, purify our existence in this world, cut all the material attachments, all the instructions of how to live a good and holy life, and be good servants and come home to God. All this knowledge in great love has been given again and again and again. And in time, man puts a name or a label or a distinction on every time it's given. But it's always the same great love. It's never been new. God's love has never trended a different way. God's love has always been the exact same, to bring us all home to him in love. It's not Muslim love or Hindu love or Christian love or Buddhist love. Love is love. Love is love. It doesn't matter any of these designations related to the body. Love overpowers every one of those things. Love cuts through all of that BS, cuts through that illusion. So Mother Atasha is just talking about true religion, just what is at the heart of every single scripture, every single religion. What is the summum bonum, the nectar, the maple syrup out of the tree? Like what is the pure, uncorrupt truth, without the cultures, without all the different languages and messed up translations, without all the dogmatic, ritualistic ceremonies and dogmas that have been practiced into the point where now it's become just habit and something you have to do, and young generations get burnt out by it. Well, that's what you're supposed to do, but there's no heart involved in it. People forgot the reason why we're doing all these things. What's the purpose for all this prayer? Why do we go to the temple or the church or the mosque or the synagogue? Why do we fast on these holy days? Why do we read from the scriptures? Why do we chant the holy names? Why do we even get up in the morning, and what is it we're looking for towards the end of the day? We have really no clue anymore. If you look at society, we don't know what we're doing, because we're basically just, waking up and just going about our days, trying to fulfill all the desires of our bodies and fulfill all the desires of our bodily relations, is it not? I mean, who even ponders on what is the actual purpose of life? But anyways, I don't want to get stuck on a tangent here. So true religion, not new religion. It's not about making a new religion. In fact, there never was a new religion. Like, okay, when Jesus sent his disciples out and they went preaching, right? Now, when they went out, were they like, hey, y'all, we got this new thing, it's called Christianity, but my boy JC, Jesus Christ, hear the word Christianity, say it, No, it wasn't a new thing. There was no such thing as Christianity in the time of Christ. Jesus was just preaching the exact same teachings from the scriptures. He said nothing new. In fact, of the Pharisees, like Brother Nicodemus, who was very good in heart, even he said, none of this is new. All of this is from the scriptures. He's just quoting the scriptures. But we're just hearing it in such a new light because of his love that it's opening people's hearts. And people called him rabbi or master, as a spiritual master is respectively called a master. And Jesus was called master by his disciples and by even lay people who recognize him as a highly qualified rabbi, because he preached from the Psalms, from the Torah. He preached the same things that God has been given again and again. Remember, it says in Ecclesiastes in the Old Testament, there is nothing new under the sun. Everything in great love has been given before. None of this is new. Everything in this book, everything in the bigger book, everything in all the scriptures, none of it is new. All of it in great love has been given again and again. So what is the concurrent theme of all the scriptures that has been given again and again? What is the conclusive truth that throughout all the ages has been the exact same message without change? That internal, eternal truth of God. That is religion of love, because it is the direct path to love of God. As it says in the Bhagavad Gita's final instructions of the Lord, just abandon all varieties of religion, just surrender unto me. I will deliver you from all sinful reactions, do not fear. Let's see where we go from here. Now a new time is come, bringing light in darkness, the path made straight, and religion undivided. As there is one God, with unlimited names, so too is there one religion, and that religion, the religion of love. Now a new time is come, is come, not has come, not will come, but is come, meaning it's right now. When Jesus was amongst the people, he said the kingdom of heaven is at hand. He says it's right now. It's at hand. It's right here. The kingdom of God is right here, right now. It's not that the Lord is absent. It's we who are not present. Now a new time is come in this present moment, which is any moment you choose to surrender unto God. Every single moment, this right now, this moment, now a new time is come, bringing light in darkness. Light is represented in the scriptures as knowledge, and darkness as ignorance. The light of knowledge dispels the darkness of ignorance. And the path made straight. The path is the path every man, every woman walks home to God. No matter what you call it, of any religion or any specific name, doesn't matter. It's the path that you walk back to the Supreme Lord, and you make yourself straight before God. What do we make straight? Well, you ever heard of the expression crooked as a politician? Someone who is crooked. It means that they're not straightforward. Their intentions, their desires are crooked. And so are we. Every single second that we are not engaged in the loving service of the Lord, we are not helping ourselves into eternal happiness. We're bringing ourselves further away and further entangled in material reactions. our minds are constantly crooked for anytime we're deviated from love, anytime we're not in an ecstatic state of love, we've got some straightening out to do. So the path made straight is the path by which a man becomes straight before God. Just pretty much straightens himself out, basically. Straighten your life out. Straighten your actions out. Straighten out your words, your intentions, your mission in life. What is it actually you are working for? What are you offering the results of your work for, or to whom? And whom are you trying to serve and please? So hopefully, ideally, 100% every moment that it will be God when we keep practicing along the path. And religion undivided, right? So there's so many divisions in the world. Oh my goodness. And all these divisions, all the hate, all of the separation from brother and brother, even though all religions preach brotherly love, well, what they really mean is we mean brotherly love as long as you guys pray and act like we do. not not if you look different from us and pray different from us. No. No, then we're not so much brothers. No, 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 no. No, that's not love. No. That's conditional love. And love is only unconditional. There is no such thing as conditional love. That's called material. That ain't spiritual. That ain't real love. So religion undivided. No more of the labels, no more of the culture, no more of the divisions, really, which are all man-made, all from our own illusions. God did not say, okay, this is now called Christianity, and now you're doing things differently, and it's Jesus all the way, or it's hell. I'm sorry, guys. Nope, nope, nope. Didn't actually say that in the Bible. Nope, that wasn't God's instruction. That came afterwards. That was some people's ideas. That's not even the temporary, outer teachings of religion for the time and circumstance. That's even worse. That's the man-made interpretations of religion, which steer everybody in the wrong direction. When you see when rogues and thieves put on robes and become clerics, they lead the entire society right down into the gutter, don't they? So, anyways, in religion undivided, no more fighting, no more of this nonsense division. God did not do that, man did. It's time for us to undo it. For there is one God with unlimited names. All of the religions can agree there's only one God. And he has unlimited names. And he tells us what his names are as revealed in the scriptures. And we don't know all of his names or all of his glories, but we know some of them. But God's glories are unlimited, and so are his names, and some of which we know from his scriptures. But there's only one God, and so too is there only one religion. There's only one way back to God, and that religion is the religion of love of God. That's how you get back to God, is through love of God, really. Oh, and that is 8:30 time.
Yeah, that flew by, man. I was writing some of the random stuff down that some of the commentary. That's why I was moving around.
Oh, good. It should just be landscape or portrait. Is this good?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Brother, do you have any questions? Or even Romina, who's recording, do you have any questions left? Related to the class, ideally, but if you have any spiritual questions, that's what we're here for.
I was dove in. I thought I might as well start off with the comments. I think the path made straight. When you were describing that was really that made a lot of sense. It made a lot of sense. Like a lot of religious teachings, they try to help you straighten out your life. That's like it's one of the main pillars of it, like most religions, and they give you a basis of how to do that. And yeah, that was mine. Like that's what I got from it. Not sure if that was the message you're trying to send, but that's what I heard.
Oh, and it's all along the same lines of my heart was saying, brother, because these teachings are universal. For many, they're a revelation like, whoa. And for others, it's a confirmation like, oh, yeah, I already believe this. I already do this. This is natural. And and that is what all religions for, is meant to straighten our life and, show us how to live a good, holy, and pious life, be a good person, treat others kindly with respect, all those good habits and qualities that make us first class gentlemen and ladies, right? And we can't elevate ourselves from where we currently are, which is the current status quo of society and all our bad habits and whatnot, directly to God. We first have to elevate our consciousness from animal level, which is eat, sleep, mate, defend, which is basically 99% of the population just operating on just animal level. Really, if you think about our desires, because what does the animal do? He's not thinking about his mental consciousness, upliftment, or enlightenment. He's just worried about, what am I eating today? Where am I going to have some enjoyment today? Have a nice, comfortable place to be, and then we can make sure I'm safe from all dangers. If I got to fight, yeah, fight. I mean, we're acting on an animal level, because if all our business is fulfilling the desires of our bodily senses, which includes the mind, then we're acting on an animal level, which is not what the human form of life is meant for. The human form of life with advanced nervous system, advanced consciousness, is meant for one thing: spiritual realization. It's what the human body is, this amazing organic machine that scientists and doctors still cannot wrap their minds all the mysteries of the body, and especially the mind. Oh, especially the mind, the brain. Ooh, we barely unlocked, just the tip of the iceberg of the potential of the brain. We don't even know. The design of this body is so magnificent. I mean, it's by the great creator himself, obviously, right? Who can design something better than this, right? So the purpose of this amazing body we have, this amazing, nervous system and ability of free will. See, the animal can't act against its nature. See, its nature is eat, sleep, mate, defend. That's just default material life. But the human form of life can think beyond that. The human form of life can now question and ask, like, who am I really? The human life is for us to ask questions, to ponder, and become self-aware, self-realize of, who am I really? Am I this body? Am I this mind? Am I my thoughts? Or am I something else other than this body? That is what the human form of life is meant for, to inquire to our true spiritual identity and what our true purpose is here, and how we got into this, life to begin with. Where did I come from before birth? Where do I go at death? And until I get there, what am I going to do? And what do people do? Where do people spend their time?
Yeah.
What do we work to make money, so that money can pay for things, and we can enjoy those things with people we want to enjoy them with. Basically, we're just seeking enjoyment nonstop. And who are we serving? We're serving the rent, we're serving the government, we're serving the family, we're serving our own stomachs. We're always serving this, that. Where is the consciousness where our actions are meant in loving service to God? Because when you act on a material level, you get material reactions. Because if you're going to play around and enjoy these bodies that God gave you for spiritualization, but you just want to use it for fun, just want to mess around with it, well, if you're going to play in the material world, you got to play by its rules, the laws of material nature. And one of those laws is every cause has an effect. Every action has a reaction. As you sow, so shall you reap. Karma. This is what happens when we act on the material platform. Every material action seeking a material result, material reactions, of which we will be bound to. And they don't have to be good reactions or bad reactions, any reaction. We end up staying in this material world in material bodies again and again because now we've got ourselves tangled up in a big old web, a big old net of karmic reactions. Spiritual practices, actually, by nature, cut through the bonds of karmic reactions. That's why they're called Naish karma. Naish means anti-karma or neutral karma. Yeah, neutral karma. Or I like to call it anti-karma because it's what it does is it cuts karmic reactions. So when you engage in spiritual practices, you're undoing all the knots you've entangled yourselves in worldly life. And all of these religious principles and sub-religious principles meant to regulate one's lifestyle, one's habits, the do's and don'ts of life, meant to steer us on the path. To be honest, I haven't read the Quran yet cover to cover, but what I've read so far, I'm absolutely loving it, and I like how it repeats the phrase "the path," stay on the path, a lot. Native Americans call it the red road, the path. El camino. It's it's all semantics, all words. Words are the best thing we have to convey the experience we've forgotten. So your experience of knowledge within your heart that you have come to realize, true knowledge, it's something that you just know, right? It's like you can't even explain it. It's just like you don't even just know. It's like you live it, right? It's like it can't be separated from you. Like once you've heard it, you can't unhear it, and there's no going back, right? So
Yeah.
spiritual knowledge is kind of like that. The words are the best thing we have to explain things. Explains a spiritual experience. Remember, words. The English language is a material, thing. Words, languages, sound, culture. These tongues, bodies, books themselves, But when the words are being used to convey spiritual truths and they come from the proper sources, those words can be imbued with a spiritual potency. And to hear spiritual knowledge from the bona fide sources, even if the words aren't exactly explaining it 100%, still some things happen and pass between the hearts that spiritualization or realizing spiritual truths isn't always dependent on having the exact word or semantics, because there are some things that you feel, and I don't want to use the word feeling. It's not exactly the right word, like emotions. I don't want to say emotional, getting all emotional, like nothing like that. But it's like it's something like you feel like deep in your gut. It's like you know what I mean? Like when you see some guy, like who just like he just I don't know he got himself in a pickle, and you're like, oh dang, look at that. Oh, what's happened over there? And then then he gets himself out of the pickle, and you're like, oh man, he did that. Oh man, respect. He got himself out of there. Oof, that was a close one. And you maybe make eye contact, just like just like good job, dude. Like because there's something beyond words. Like I don't have to say anything, but in just one moment of eye contact, I can convey so much that I understand his feeling, that I understand his empathy, that I relate with that, and I can transmit my respect for that guy in just one look. There's no words, yet so much has been conveyed.
There's an example. I don't know if do you want me to share?
Yes, please.
So let's say you're in there's people talking, they're having fun, they're cracking jokes, right? In the room. And you walk in and they go silent as soon as you walk in. without any sort of precognition, you have this feeling of embarrassment or anxiety in you because you walked in the room and everyone just went silent. And so that's
Oh
not something
yeah.
that's learned or taught at all. You just immediately know.
And
It's,
there's a. Oh, would you have more to say? Yeah, say.
oh no, I was just saying that I drew that same connection when you mentioned that because I heard that example recently.
Oh, uh, maybe I even said it because it's something I think about too a lot. And it's a good example of our consciousness. You see, our minds are not hidden things. Our thoughts are not hidden from others. I mean, no one can really think, know what you're thinking, really. I mean, not, well, some people are mind readers, especially, if you're married, you know.
Oh no.
Just kidding. Just kidding. Uh, no, but you can pick up someone's vibe, can't you? Like,
Yeah.
even though no one's saying anything, everybody in that room is thinking something, and you don't know what it is they're thinking, but you already know the feeling of that thought, and that feeling ain't good.
Yeah.
that's that's because everything we do and are affects those around us, because our thoughts are not just some idle things, it's not just some, like, pennies in a bank that just clink around, don't do anything, they're just sitting there. No, thoughts are very powerful. Thoughts bring forth emotions, and emotions impel us to act and do things. So beginning from what you're thinking, that's what's going to happen, and that's the reality. That's the experience we're going to create for ourselves. A good example, like, you're afraid this thing's going to happen, right? It hasn't happened yet, but even though you're thinking about it, you're already full of worry and anxiety, right? Even though nothing's happened yet, you're just thinking about it, right? Thoughts are powerful. Even though there's no problem right now, just thinking about it brought forth the emotion as if it already actually happened, because the emotion is real. Whether it happened or not, the emotion, that the feeling you get is the same,
I see.
because all your emotions come from your thoughts, and your thoughts, unfortunately, are not hidden. People can pick up each other's thoughts, each other's consciousness. We can pick up each other's vibes, you know.
Yeah.
And walking into a room and everything, like the record script, everyone's all quiet. It's a scene. Yes, very embarrassing, very awkward. Definitely make you feel anxiety, because for some reason you don't not so welcome to everyone in that room, and they're thinking something, or they're thinking something negative. And
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily have to be directed to you. I mean, it could have been anybody who walked in that room, because who knows what was going on in that room with those people.
Yeah.
But whatever they were thinking, we already know it wasn't a positive thought. It was a negative thought.
Yeah.
and and it doesn't make us feel good, because negativity just, makes you feel bad. And
Yeah.
it sounds corny. Positive
I had
thinking
a
does make you feel positive.
mm,
Right? But
yeah.
spiritual thinking, well, then you can transcend both good and bad, because bad karma and good karma are both karma. And karma, or uh, having to suffer the results of our past actions, is something that, good or bad, keeps us here in the material world, because we have debts to pay. And even some of those good pious debts we have to pay. And you think, oh, I mean, I want to go home to God. I want to go. I mean, I'm done here with the spiritual, with this material stuff. Let me go to spiritual world. Like, oh no, hold on now. You got some good karma coming. You're just about to win the lottery. Like, literally, he comes by, like, oh, that's some good stuff. Hey, okay, all right. Let me enjoy this stuff. Hey, it's my good karma. Yeah, enjoy. Enjoy. And
Yeah.
again, we're enjoying in bodies separate from God. Well, that doesn't mean you have to stop everything you're doing and just, you know, sit in a cave and just pray all day. That's not
Yeah.
that's not you don't have, like, even in the scripture says, don't give up your duties. Don't just everybody become like a renunciate, like a bum sadhu, and just live off the people who didn't hear the message. No, not what it's saying. um you can still, in your daily activities, in your work, in your jobs, and taking care of your family, you can still live a holy, righteous life, can still walk the path made straight, can still straighten your heart on the path and go straight to God in love, if you just made one slight adjustment in your mind,
Yeah.
consciousness.
It's scary. Not scary per se, but the way your mind changes once you start going into a certain type of religious mode, uh, it's very interesting. It's kind of scary at some point because then you're subconsciously avoiding material things, but then sometimes your conscious mind is like, oh, I might need to go get this, but then you have that sort of dissonance at times where you don't want something, but then like the mind is like, I want this, and it's like it's constant because before it was aligned, like you were already materially afflicted, but then once you get rid of that sheath, then it's just that dissonance is always there until you make your actions align with what you want per se.
There's quite a tug and pull within the mind, because the
Yeah.
mind isn't just by itself, because every single one of the senses, be it the eyes, the nose, the tongue, the body, the sex organs, you know, they all have minds of their own a little bit.
Yeah.
and and the Bhagavad Gita goes very much into these, the senses of the body. So there's 6 senses of the body, and each one of those senses is desiring the object of the senses. You know, like the eyes are constantly desiring something enjoyable to look at. The ears are always desiring some nice things to listen to, and the tongue likes to taste foods we enjoy and to say things we like to say. and and the body wants to get all the feels it wants to get, right? So the senses, including the mind. Now the mind has all those subtle desires, desires like wanting to be appreciated, wanting to be respected, wanting to feel important, you know, wanting to fit in, these subtle desires. So all of these desires are still related to the material body, be they of your gross material senses or to your subtle mind and thoughts and desires. All of them are hankering after some enjoyment. In fact, at the root of all we desire is the desire to be happy. And the reason why all of the senses in the mind hanker after all the things that they do, that we hanker after, is so that we can enjoy, so that we can feel some pleasure. We want to feel good, right?
Yeah.
Why do we do anything? Because we want to. And if someone says that, well, I don't want to do this job, or I don't want to do this, but I have to do this job. I have to work these shifts. No, everything's a choice. It's because you want that paycheck. It's because you want that job security. Nothing has control over anything in our life. No one has control over our lives unless we want something from them. Because we're actually only controlled by our own desires. And there's a nice story about how elephants are trained in India. The elephant starts off with a big iron chain put around its leg and tied to a tree. and the poor baby elephant's like "Rrr, rrr," trying to get out and just struggles, and his leg gets all hurt and banged up and cut, and you know, and this goes on for years until eventually the elephant grows up a little bit and doesn't struggle anymore because he knows he can't get free, and I'm just hurting myself. So even a grown-up elephant, a big giant elephant, big old tusks and everything, can be kept in one place and it will never try to escape, even by tying a little string, just a tiny thread around the big trunk of the leg and tying it to like a tent stake. That elephant will never try to escape because once it feels that thing on its leg, it feels I can't go anywhere. I'm trapped. I'm just going to sit here and make the most of it. And even though nothing's actually physically keeping the elephant there, he'll never go because in his mind, he thinks he's there. So he can't. So the mind desires are very powerful. I think I went on a tangent a little bit. Uh, but yes, all the desires of the body and mind are very, very strong, and they pull us in different directions. And these sub-religious principles of the scriptures, not the hard line commandments, the do's and do nots, otherwise, you don't make it to heaven, but the sub-religious principles, like recommendations of diet, recommendations of, you know, um, what you do with your genitals, you know, put a ring on it, right? Don't fool around, be a gentleman, be a lady, put a ring on it, right? Uh, you know, don't cause suffering to other beings unnecessarily, you know. Um, don't pollute your mind and bodies with intoxicants for fun, otherwise, how are you going to hear and serve the Lord properly if you're wasted? You're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. Um, you wouldn't show up to your mama's Thanksgiving to help carve the turkey all drunk, right? Make a scene. No one's gonna appreciate that, and you're not really gonna make much progress serving God in the spiritual world, in your mind or otherwise. If your mind's totally polluted, I mean, you won't even remember your service or your purpose in life. And
Yeah.
uh, and telling us things like to gamble, free yourself from gambling, trying to get something for nothing, that cheating propensity. So these sub-religious principles, where the scriptures try to guide our lives, mold our daily habits and activities in such a way that we minimize the biggest harming distractions and negative poles that drag our consciousness and our desires away from the things that are really beneficial for us. Because the mind and body don't know actually what is beneficial for us, really. They just want what we think we want, what we know. I know I like chicken nuggets, so I'm gonna go get chicken. I don't need chicken nuggets. No, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I don't. I
Yeah,
just know
maybe.
they're cheap. They're on the
Yeah.
dollar menu. I like it. I got that Szechuan sauces in
It's
town.
fries. Say
You
fries.
know. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, even though it's not good for you, I know I enjoy it more than what I know, right? So we enjoy even though how much bad stuff is in that, how much suffering, poor chickens and how what a doozy to the health of our body, suffering on all bases really. But still we enjoy because we don't have enough knowledge. We don't have
This
knowledge.
reminds
We're in
me.
ignorance.
Yeah. I was gonna say this reminds me a lot of math. Like everything you said, pretty similar to math, where it's like to get spiritual knowledge and we convey it through words. Words aren't enough. You have to put it to practice, actually feel it. Like in math, you have to actually do the problems. Then you get that intuition,
Mm,
and then
mm.
yeah. Same with
And
knowledge. There's a lot of statistical things where you might think something is probable, with our mind might think something is right, but until you actually like try it and know through knowledge, like through discovery and practice, then you'll realize, hey, this is wrong, and this is the actual way.
yes, and also why it's so important to have a spiritual master, so that when you read something, because words are tricky. when you read something and it doesn't make sense, you can ask someone questions and be
That's
like,
actually work.
does this mean this? And someone can be like, no, it doesn't mean that. Don't do that. Don't, or they say, yes, you're following nicely. Go ahead. Or they'll say, actually, a little bit this. Okay, now you got it. Right. That's the importance of having a spiritual master, a pure devotee of the Lord, to learn under and to follow their examples and instructions, uh, because they are 100% engaged in the Lord's service, and they live not for any gain of themselves, and they follow rightly everything in the scriptures to a T. No, not everything, not the temporary circumstantial things for that time, like the stoning times and the other crazy stuff that just don't apply, to every people and to every time period, the outer teachings of religion, but the inner teachings, every spiritual master teaches the same, and they live out those teachings because they've experienced all that knowledge already within themselves, where they themselves studied under a master, followed all the instructions they were given, and because they followed them rightly and followed them nicely and purified their hearts, they came to experience that pure knowledge within themselves, within their hearts. And then they can give it to others, because you can't give what you don't have. If all you have is words, your words have no potency. But if there's experience behind those words, if there's actual realization of the teachings from those words, because they've been lived out within the heart and are lived out, then those words have spiritual potency when you hear from a devotee. And that hearing from someone who's self-realized, spiritually realized, like a real master, like Mother Atasha was, that hearing acts like the mother who's calling the child who's in a nightmare to wake up. Hey, wake up, wake up. The child wakes up like, huh, You see, his other brothers and sisters who are sleeping, they can't wake him up from the dream. They're all sleeping too. They're all in their own dream state. You need
Yeah.
someone who is awake. Their voice can wake you from troubled sleep, wake you from the nightmare. That's why sound vibration is so important. Sound is, it's the first thing in this created in this material world was sound. And sound is the foundation for spiritual knowledge, because how do we learn? We hear it we hear knowledge from others. And we read it from books too, but before there was books, there was just speaking.
Yeah, I think videos help a lot. Yeah.
Oh well, and in person's even better.
Yeah.
The more your mind and senses are directly engaged with something, the more you're focused, the more your attention, and the more things can transfer to
There's
and fro. So having a
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no,
I
you're
was
good.
gonna say there's an aura, like when you're in a place, at least somewhere that's opulent or nice, like very very clean. You get a different feeling. Like if you look at a picture of a temple or even a video, you're not gonna get the same experience as if you were sitting there. Like you have
Oh,
like the fragrance of the petals, and then you have like the atmosphere around you, the people. And I think that makes like a significant difference.
it definitely do, man. It's not the same as actually being there. I can
Yeah.
explain honey, honey, honey to everybody. I can explain all the qualities of honey, its floral taste, its consistency, its viscosity, how it coats the throat. I can become a PhD in honey. But if I've never actually tasted honey,
Yeah, you're not gonna know.
it's all secondhand knowledge. It's knowledge of others. It's not my knowledge. It's not because I haven't realized it and I haven't experienced it. So,
Yeah.
unless it's realized, knowledge is worthless. Well, not worthless. I wouldn't
There's
say that. No, I take that back. Knowledge is never not worthless. It's just
yeah,
sometimes it
yeah.
takes time to
It's
realize
a
it. No.
it's an interesting There's I read something. It's like a philosophy thing of knowledge. That is for learning spiritual knowledge or just knowledge in general. You can't just read it. You have to read it and then observe it for the full understanding. And if you can't do those two things, you have to just experience it. So it's either you read it and observe it, or you experience it.
Pretty much. You hear it. Step one, receive the knowledge from instruction from the master in the books. Step two, apply it, practice it. Try to realize it by practice. Can take a long time. You might get it in the first try. And to be able to really succeed in that, your heart has to be open to it to begin with. If we're in some challenging mood, if we're not fully accepting it, well, mind you, we're talking about real teachings. Not, I mean,
Oh, let me qualify.
Suppose.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say by experience, I meant if you're in the presence of a spiritual master, that's what experiencing it is.
Oh, you know, I can say from my own experience that being in her presence was definitely more intense than if I was, I guess, on a video call, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But there were many others who sat with me, who spent time with her even more than me, and they didn't stick around, or they didn't get it, or they didn't hear anything. So you could memorize every single word in scripture, but it will do you no good if your heart is closed to God's love. And the way we close our hearts is when we cause suffering to ourselves and to others, and act in very offensive ways, offensive to God and the scriptures and the holy names. And we shoot ourselves in the foot. And even if we're chanting and studying the scriptures, memorizing the scriptures, going to the holy places, going to the holy temples and whatnot, it won't do us any good if we develop not kindness and that love to others that proves. Develop not love and the kindness to others which proves that love, that we're, even though we might be walking the path with all the look and apparel of it and all the outward activities of it, we could actually walk in the opposite direction if our mind is misguided by false knowledge or negative thoughts.
Yeah.
Even if you know all the holy words in the holy book, but you have hate and malice to others, you're
That's
not very
the
loving to others.
that's the importance of japa, of chanting, because you could have all the knowledge, but then you're not actually experiencing anything until you're actually praying and chanting. For others, meditation and chanting, combined.
Well, that's because chanting is a form of devotional service that purifies your heart. And someone who sincerely engages in chanting, their heart can be purified little by little, and then they can hear and experience some of that knowledge even automatically without even reading the book. In fact,
Yeah.
I mean, you only need to hear a very little bit of scripture, honestly. But if you give it your all and follow it rightly and chant all day long, yeah, you can become a realized master, even though you haven't even read the scriptures.
Yeah.
Not or in full study. And you could chant all day long and make hardly any benefit, and in an envious mood, or you have some material gain, or some material motive,
Yeah.
or who knows. So it all starts from within. Everything begins with our desire. What is it we really want? And we gotta be really clear with it, what we want. Because if we know what we want, and that goal is clear as day, and we desire that goal so strongly, nothing gonna stop us from doing the things we really want to do. If we
That's
want to
true.
see what's really important to us, not what we say is important to us, but what really is important to us, all we got to do is look at how we spent our time throughout the day. And then from there, search within our hearts at what we really desire and want out of life. And then we can make intelligent decisions to acquire knowledge and apply ourselves in some practices that will help us get to that aim, which hopefully is spiritualization, love of God, which is the, of course, purpose of life. But I think we're running out of time, way out of time. I should
Yeah,
probably close
we're
it. Thank you
over.
so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Please
Thanks
forgive me, Romina. What's that?
I said thanks for staying over.
Oh,
over time.
I would love to go all night, to be honest, and we can keep it going. Honestly, for every you and I keep going, but Mother Atasha always said, you set a time and you keep your time.
No, that's true.
Just be disciplined. So be
It's good
disciplined.
there's sometimes value in ending a little early, so then you have more things to reflect on the next time, to get better.
I've had more problem of going over than early as of late.
Yeah.
But if you didn't show up, I'm sure it would have been an early class. And Mother Atasha, if she didn't have any questions presented to her, she would close the class, and that would freak me out, and I would just say the dumbest question just to keep her going. As long as I got her mouth moving, it was just pure ambrosial nectar coming out, and I was just loving it. Even if she gave me a stern look and was just like, like to me for my stupid question, I'll take the hit because I know it's coming with honey right after it because she's gonna talk on some point now. So yeah, questions and answers. This is the actual bread and butter of the relationship between master and disciple. But we'll get to that in other classes. And here, all glories Mother Atasha, all glories Virgin of Love, all glories to assembled devotees, Jai. Okay. Romina, you can stop the stream if you're still doing it. I'll stop my camera. Did you stop it, love?